Hello and welcome back to the channel. In today's video I'm going to be talking through the Year 2 SATS second maths paper, which is the reasoning paper. A bit of information before we begin. So this paper, the schools are likely to administer it to children during the month of May 2023. I'm going to be talking through the 2022 paper, which took place last year. And here you can see the dates at the bottom. So that's the Key Stage 1 test period. Schools can administer the test anytime during the month of May. And I just put at the bottom there another assessment that will be happening in Key Stage 1. That's the Year 1 phonics screening, which is the week commencing the 12th of June. Okay, let's begin. So first of all, I want to just make you clear that the first 5 questions of the paper are actually oral questions, which means that on the reasoning paper, the teacher will read out a question. The children have to listen to the information and then have to answer the question. So I'm going to read these questions out like they would see them in the test. So the first 5 questions are oral questions. So this first question would have been read to them. It's AJ counted 5 blue cars. Kemi counted 14 red cars. How many cars did they count altogether? Write your answer in the box. And the teacher can repeat the information in bold, so the information about AJ and Kemi, and then children have to write their answer. So in this case, they just have to add 5 and 14 together to make 19. Okay, next oral question, number 2. So I am thinking of a 2-digit number. It is less than 20. It is an even number. What number could I be thinking of? Now for this question, there's a couple of different options that they could write down. So they have to think of a 2-digit number, so it's going to have both 10s and 1s, and it has to be less than 20, okay, less than 20, and it has to be an even number, okay. So this is about the children knowing the odd and even numbers up to 20. So it has to be an even number, but it's 2 digits, so it could be 12, and that's our first even number after 10, so it could be 10, 10, 12, and then it's just about counting up in 2s really after that. 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, but obviously not 20 because it has to be less than 20. So any one of these 5 options would be correct, but the children have to write one of them in the box. So let's write 16, and that would be a correct answer. But any one of these 5 would also be correct. Okay, the next oral question would have been for the children. Question 3, what number is 1 less than 60? So this is practice. Can they count back from 60? So 1 less than 60 would be 59. Okay. Question number 4. So look at the picture of the clock. What time does the clock show? I will read the times for you. Tick the correct time. So for this question, the children have to tick the correct time shown on the clock. Okay, in Year 2, they need to know o'clock, quarter past, half past, and quarter to, and then maybe some of the 5-minute increments as well. Is it quarter to 9, quarter to 4, quarter past 9, quarter past 4? Here we can see the large minute hand is pointing to the 9, so we know that that's quarter to, and the small hand, this is important, is not quite on the 4. Okay, so it is quarter to 4, and they need to tick that correct box there. Number 5. Ben has 12 sweets. Amy has 7 more sweets than Ben. How many sweets does Amy have? So, for this question, they're starting with 12, and Amy has 7 more. So that is 12 add 7. Now, they don't have to do this in their head. They could write it down. They could do a number line, and then add on 7. If that's what they find easier. Okay, but they're counting on from 12 to 7. And the correct answer is 19. And they'd need to write 19 sweets in the box. And now we move on to our first of the written questions, which means that the teacher will no longer be reading out these questions. The children will have to do these questions in the way of normal tests, so they'll have the paper in front of them and they'll just have to work through the questions quietly. Match each label to the correct part of the date. 1 is done for you. Day of the month, 28th. Day of the week, Tuesday. year 2020, month April. Okay, so they need to correctly identify these. Now, this is all about the children in year 2 knowing what years are, what months are, what days of weeks are, what days of months are, how many days in a week, how many days in a month. Okay, this is something they need to know coming out of year 2. Next question. So question 7, put these numbers in order from smallest to largest. So this is assessing the children's knowledge of 2-digit numbers and be able to identify which numbers have the most tens and ones, and therefore being able to put them in order. So 18 has been done for us. So now we need to look at the tens for each number. This one has 8 tens. This one has 7 tens. Looking at the tens before we look at the ones. So here we've got 2 tens, so 27 is going to be next, followed by 4 tens of 40, 45, followed by 7 tens of 76, and finally the 8 tens of 84. Okay, so that's how they would do this question. Okay, so we have a written question now. Kemi has 25 red beads and 6 green beads. How many beads does Kemi have altogether? Now, for this question, this is a worded problem, but they need to work out what operation are they doing. Add, subtract, multiply, or divide. Now, if you see the word altogether in a question, what I usually say to the children is if you see that word, it's asking you usually what have you got all together. So you need to add everything together. So all together is a good indicator that the question is an addition question. So I'm going to do 25 add 6. Okay, now depending on which way they prefer to do it, they could count on from 25 to get to 31, or they might want to draw their tens and ones grid, which is perfectly acceptable as a method. So you make 25, 2 tens, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're just going to add those 6 ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then they can count up what they've got all together. So they've got 20 here, and over here they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So they've made a new 10, okay, which they could draw into here as a 10, which would mean that this is now no longer 20, but is actually 30. You have 1 left over here, so it's 31. Add those 2 bits together, 31 beads. They can do it this way, but I would also suggest that just counting on from 25 and adding those 6 is also an efficient and quick way of doing it. Okay, draw 2 lines to divide the square into quarters. So there's a couple of different options to do to solve this question. Now, we've got to try and get them to use a ruler, okay, and they will be provided with a ruler in the quiz, in the test, so they should be able to use it, but this is about their knowledge of fractions of shape. So how can you divide this square into quarters using only 2 lines? Well, one way would be to go down the center, okay, to make a half there, and then across the middle to make a half there, and then that means you've got 4 quarters. That is one way you could do it. Another way that they could do it is to go diagonally across. That's 1 line, and diagonally across in the other direction, and those 4 sections are equal parts. There's 4 of them, so they're also quarters. There is a final way of doing it, but I don't imagine many children would choose this way. Okay, they could go from here to here, and they could go from here to here. Now, interestingly, these parts here are still equal parts, and therefore you still have 4 quarters. Even though it doesn't look like it, that's still an acceptable answer. Number 10. Ben has 20 stickers. Sam has 30 stickers. AJ has 50 stickers. How many stickers do they have all together? So here we're adding 20, 30, and 50 together. Now, what they might have noticed is that if you add 20 and 30 together, okay, 20 add 30 is going to equal 50, okay, and once they know that that's 50, you can just add 50 and 50 together to make 100. Okay, so that would be an efficient way, looking at it that way. Which 2 numbers can I add together easily? Well, I know that 2 and 5 make 2 and 3 make 5, so 20 and 30 will make 50, and I also know that 50 and 50 equals 100. They could draw their tens and ones grid for this question also. That would be a perfectly acceptable method, but the numbers have been put there to help them, so they should, seeing that these two make 50 and that's 50, that's going to help them to understand that if you add 50 and 50 together, they should know it makes 100. Tick the two shapes that have the same number of sides. So in year 2, children need to be able to identify 2D shapes and naming them based on the amount of sides that they have. So we're looking for two shapes that have the same number of sides. So this one is a triangle which has 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is a pentagon, has 5 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, hexagon. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So an unusual question because they'll be able to see that's a triangle and that's a hexagon, but these are what's called irregular 2D shapes because not all the sides are the same size. But we're looking for two that have the same number of sides, and therefore the answers are these ones and these ones. And they must remember, look, it says to tick the two shapes. So reading the question carefully and making sure that they tick those. Okay, number 12. This number sentence equals 18. Now write a different number sentence that equals 18. The one digit in each, we write one digit in each empty box. So for this question, what they need to do is to try and make 18 with adding two different numbers together. So they might start by looking at this and thinking, well, if 1 and 17 makes 18, if I put a 2 there, okay, I'm going to have to make this 1 less than this, okay? So 2 add 16 is also 18. Another option they could have had is 4 add 14 makes 18. 3 add 15 makes 18. 5 add 13. 6 add 12. So actually, we're actually practicing our number bonds up to 18 here, okay? But there's lots of different ways they can do it. It's just about them choosing the correct way. The triangle has 3 sides of equal length. 3 pencils fit along one side of the triangle. How many pencils fit around all 3 sides? Now, this is perimeter in its early stages. They don't teach perimeter in year 2, but what they do want the year 2 children to be able to do is to measure using sort of a non-unit way of measuring. So in this case, rather than using centimeters, the children are experimenting using pencils to measure the sides of the triangle. If they know that 3 pencils equals one side of the triangle, how many pencils fit around all 3? So that'd be 1, 2, 3 pencils down this side, 1, 2, 3 pencils down this side, giving a final answer of 9 pencils all together. And they don't have to draw the pencils. Some children might like to, but if you're another child might just see that there's 3 here, so count in 3s, 3 on that side, 3 on that side, and 3 on this side. 3, 6, and 9. Question 14. Here are 2 number patterns. There are 3 missing numbers. Write them in the empty boxes. So this is about the children being able to count up. In year 2, they need to be counting in 2s, 5s, 10s, and also be able to count in 3s. Now here you should be able to spot a pattern. 15, 20, 25. This is part of their 5 times table. So if we're going down in 5s, we're going to start here. 5 less than 15 is 10. 5 more than 25 is going to be 30. So that's giving us 2 of our missing numbers. Along this way, we're actually counting in 3s. 18, 21, 24, and 27. So this is about them identifying, oh, that's my 3 times table. So what is 3 less than 18? The missing number on this side is going to be 15. Okay, number 15. Draw a line to match each measurement to the correct unit. 1 is done for you. The length of a pencil, the mass of a bag of potatoes, the capacity of a cup, and the temperature of the outside. This question is asking the children to be able to identify the correct unit of measurement for the different things that they would measure. This is something they need to know for year 2. So knowing that to measure a pencil we would use centimeters, To know the measure the weight of a bag of potatoes, we would use kilograms. The capacity of a cup, how much liquid a cup can hold, we would use milliliters. And the temperature outside, we would use centigrade. Question number 16. Complete the table to show how many tens and ones are in each number. 1 is done for you. This is an interesting question because it's actually just asking them to partition these numbers. And they have to write down how many tens and how many ones. But some children would be used to partitioning and writing it like this. 23 equals 20 plus 3. Now, if they did that, they would get this answer incorrect. They have to identify how many tens and how many ones are in the number. So here we've got 2 tens. So instead of writing 20, they must write 2. And here we've got 3 ones. So instead, we'd have to write 3 in this box here. Now, this one is also designed to trick them a little bit because the number 5 has 0 tens and it has 5 ones. Question number 17. Look at these numbers. Use these numbers to complete the number sentence below. Use all 3 numbers each time. So this is testing their ability to see the relationship between addition and subtraction and to see them as the inverse of each other. So something adds something equals 42. Well, given that 42 is the largest number, if I'm adding 2 numbers together, okay, it's most likely going to be 42, which will be my answer. So 42 will go here. And then they might be able to see that if you add 36 and 6 together, then those 2 numbers are going to make 42. So they can put their numbers into their addition first. Then what usually happens is we can take one of the large numbers, in this case the answer, can come to the front, 42 here. And then if I write, what am I going to have to subtract? Now, it could be either of these. You could do 42 take away 36 is 6, or the easier of the two might be to do 42 subtract 6 is 36. But either way round would still be correct. So you could have 42 minus 36 is 6, 42 subtract 6 is 36. Okay, though both of those would be correct. Question number 18, another worded problem. So we have to read the question carefully. Ben has 40 cards. Okay, and it gives us a picture of the playing cards here. He shares them equally, shares, we've got words like this, and equally between 4 party bags. How many cards does he put in each bag? Now this question, they're going to have to identify again what operation they're going to need to use. Now the word shares should be jumping out at them, and they should see that this question, because we have that word share, is going to be a division question. And we're sharing 40 between 4 bags or 4 people. So I would have taught year 2 children, some children would like to do it this way, where you draw 4 bags, okay, and then you may share out the 40 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you keep going until you've shared out 40, and then each bag should contain 10, and they would count the 10 dots. Now, if they find that a bit of a long way to do it, and they know what 40 divided by 4 is, then they could draw the circle and just write 10 in like this, 10, 20, 30, 40, or even if they don't need to draw anything, they can just do the number sentence, 40 divided by 4, and the answer would be 10. So it's completely up to your child where they're up to. If they can do 40 divided by 4 in their head, then great. If they can't, draw the 4 groups and share them out. If they can draw 4 groups and put 10 in each, do it that way. So there's a series of ways of doing it, okay? But the answer to this question would be 10. Remembering to write your answer in the box. Okay, next question. Now, I really like these questions because, well, I don't know if money will be important in coins as we move through life. We're getting more and more cashless as a society, but at the moment, the children still need to be able to count in coins, but also it helps them to add amounts together as well. Two of these persons have the same amount. Tick them. So they're going to have to count the amount. So here we've got 20 and 20, which makes 40, and 10 makes 50. So that one is going to be 50p in there. Okay, and they're going to have to go through and count them all. 10 and 20 make 40, 50, and 60. So this one is 60p. 10 and 50 is 60, and 5 is 65. So this one is 65p. And then 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. This one is 50p also. So once they've worked that out, they have to go back and make sure they tick the two persons that have the same amount. Question number 20. Circle the calculation with the largest answer. Now, this is just asking them to add some one-digit numbers together. Okay, so which of these sums has the largest answer? Well, 5 and 2 make 7. 10 take away 3 is 7, so they're the same. 9 take away 1 is 8. And 4 plus 1 is 5. So given that we've just worked all of these out, you have to go back and make sure they circle the correct one. Question 21. So for this question, we have another shape question. Draw a cross on a shape that does not have a line of symmetry. Now, in this quiz, I believe they will be given a mirror to help them, so they can use the mirror to find lines of symmetry. But also, they should have learned in school how many lines of symmetry each shape has, and it's usually that the shape's sides equal the lines of symmetry. So this, we've got one line of symmetry there. We've got one line across here, okay? Both that side and that side the same, that side and that side the same. And I think we also have a line of symmetry going across there and a line going across there. So this shape has 1, 2, 3, 4 sides and 1, 2, 3, 4 lines of symmetry. So this shape also has lines of symmetry. A hexagon, it will have 6. A circle has almost an infinite amount of lines of symmetry. Okay, this triangle has a line of symmetry down the middle. So the shape that does not have a line of symmetry, and you might have guessed by just looking at these shapes, is this one, because we can't put a line here where both sides of that line will be the same. So that is the incorrect. Oh, and just be careful, a lot of questions are asking for ticks. This question is asking for a cross. So instead of ticking it, we need to make sure that we cross that shape. 22. A wall has 5 bricks in each row. How many bricks are there in 6 rows? So here we have another worded problem. We've got a small image to go with it. So 5 bricks in a row. How many bricks are there in 6 rows? So if we know in one row there are 5, it's asking us to do which operation? Is it add, subtract, divide, or multiply? So 5 rows of 6 is the same as 5 groups of 6. So that's right, it's a multiplication question. So what the children would need to do here, and there's nothing wrong with them drawing out 6 rows with 5 bricks in each, okay? But eventually they just need to be able to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that the question's asking them to do 5 multiplied by 6, 5 groups of 6, or, okay, 6 groups of 5, which is what they would be able to do. They wouldn't know their 6 times tables probably in year 2. So it's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And 30 will be the correct answer. Question 23. Look at these number cards. Choose 3 of the number cards to make this subtraction correct. So we need to choose 3 cards to make a subtraction sum correct. So this is testing the children's ability to add and subtract multiples of 10. So this is a subtraction question. So it's likely we're going to start with a larger number and take away a smaller one. Now looking at these, I think it would be best to start with either 70 or 90. I'm going to start with 90 here. And there's more than one correct answer. In fact, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different combinations that would be correct. So what do we take away from 90 and what could we put in here? We could have 90 take away 70 is 20. Okay, that would be correct. We could have 90 take away 50 is 40. 90 take away 40 is 50. We could have 70 take away 50 is 20. Okay, and 70 take away 20 is 50. So there's quite a few, 6 in total, different combinations. But as long as they choose one of those and make sure they have one of these larger numbers first, they should be able to get this question correct. Okay, question 24. 8 children are eating plums. We have another worded question. So let's underline the important information. 8 children are eating plums. Each child eats 2 plums. How many plums do they eat altogether? So again, we need to work out what operation this is asking. Add, subtract, multiply, or divide. Now, if you have 8 children altogether and they each eat 2 plums, there's nothing wrong with them being able to draw a picture to help them answer this question. So if we have 8 children and they have 2 each, what? 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and 2. They can then see that they're counting in twos. The question's asking them to do 8 groups of 2, or 8 multiplied by 2, which is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 plums in total, which would be the answer. Remember to write it in the box. Question number 25. Sam puts 18 cards in a row. He puts 3 cards in each row. How many rows of cards are there? So, again, towards the end of the test, we have a lot of these worded problems, and they get quite tricky. So we've got to work out, are we dividing, multiplying, adding, or taking away? So you have 18 cards in a row. Okay, so you've got 18. And he puts the cards in each, you put 3 cards in each row. How many rows of cards are there? So what operation do you think we're doing here? Well, we're actually going to be sharing 18. Okay, I'm going to share it by 3 to find out how many rows that we have. Now, children could then draw 3 groups to help them solve this, and then share out the 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and then count how many you have in one group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So then they know that 18 shared by 3 is going to be 6. How many rows of cards are there? There are 6 rows altogether. Okay, so the trickiest part is working out what operation is the problem asking them. Sometimes it's easier, just like the last question I did, to draw a picture first to help them work out what operation they're going to be doing. Okay, guys, so for this question, it's another worded question, and it's a 2-mark question, okay, because there's going to be 2 steps to this problem. You can see it's a 2-mark question down here, and that usually means there are 2 things to do. So it's a worded problem, and we need to work out what the maths is it's asking us to do. So there are 43 people on the bus. We've got a picture of a bus here. We know we start off with 43 people on it. 15 people get off and 8 people get on. Now, for the children, they need to realize that if it says get off, okay, here, it means that it's going to be taking away 15. And then with the second part is that we've got 8 people getting on, so we're going to have to add 8. So let's start off with drawing a tens and ones grid and working out 43 subtract 15. So we're going to do make 43 first, 10, 20, 30, 40, and 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to take away 15. Now, starting with the ones, we can't take 5 ones away from 3 ones. Okay, so we're going to have to borrow a 10. So then the children would cross out this 110 here, and they'd move the 10 over as 10 ones. Okay, so they're exchanging a 10 for 10 ones. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Once they have done that, then they can do 3 take away 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so they're crossing out 5, and what are they left with? We have left over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. in the ones column, then not forgetting to take away the 10. So we're going to cross out the 10 that we have from 15, which leaves us with 20, 2 10s are 20, and 8 ones, 28. But we're not finished there, because the second part of the problem is to add the 8 ones. 28 add 8, because 8 people got on the bus, is going to equal 36. And if they can't, they can draw the 10s and 1s grid again for this part, but the quicker way of doing it would be to put 28 in your head and count on 8. 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Not forgetting to write the final answer in the box. Now, if they get to this stage and they forget to do the second part, they can still get 1 mark, but to get both marks, they'll have to do both parts of the question. Okay, moving on. Question 27, complete the number sentences. 7 add 7 is 14. Something add 7 is 24. 27 add 7 equals, and something add 7 is 44. For this question, they could do the inverse to help them, okay? So something add 7 equals 24. You could do 24 subtract 7, and that will give you the answer of 17. So 17 would be the answer here. You could do 27, well, here you're just adding 27 and 7, so again, counting on, which would give you an answer of 34. And for this one here, we could take 7 away from 44, which would give us an answer of 37. These are quite tricky questions at the end here, but if they can use the inverse, they can use the inverse to solve them. Question 28. Kemi has £1. She buys a pencil and a rubber. How much change does she get from £1? So this question again is a 2-mark question, so there are going to be 2 steps involved, and we're going to need to work out add, subtract, multiply, or divide. Now here, they might need to know that what a pound is in pence. Now £1, okay, in pence is 100 pence, okay, and once they know that it's 100 pence, then they can go about taking away the other part. So 100, take away 15, okay, and then take away 25, because she's bought both of those things. Or they could add 15 and 25 together, okay, so if they could add 15 and 25 together, which makes 40, and then take away 40 from 100. So if I have 100 and I take away 40, okay, this is then using their number bonds to 100, I should be able to see that the answer is 60p. I would probably say that that would be the easiest thing to do for them, to add those 2 bits together to make 40, and then take 40 away from 100 to get 60p. But another piece of knowledge they need to know is that there are 100 pennies in a pound, so that they know that they're taking away from 100. So 60p is the correct answer. Question 29. Sita has 8 strawberries. She eats 3/4 of them. How many does she eat? So for this question here, it's a fractions of amounts question, but it's been worded. So it's 8 strawberries and she eats 3/4. So what they need to do is see that here and here are numerator and denominator. The denominator tells us how many groups she's sharing them into, which is 4, because we're sharing them into quarters. And then once we've done that, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, we want to count 3 of those groups. So what I say to the children is, circle 3 of those groups, and then how much have you got all together? 2, 4, 6. So 3/4 of 8 is going to be 6 strawberries. Question 30. This table shows the shoe size of all the children in the class. 9, 10, 11, 12, and the number of children. How many children have a shoe size of 10 or smaller? So we're looking at shoe size of 10 and shoe size of 9. So they're interpreting data here from a table. So we know that there's 8 children who have a size 10, okay, and there's 7 children who have a size 9. So how many have a 10 or smaller? It should be 8 add 7, And if they can count on in their head, the answer would be 15. Question 31, and we come to the last question on the test. So this is a 2-mark question again. So there's going to be 2 parts to this. Kemi says, I multiply the 2 numbers on the bottom row. The answer is on the top. So here we've got 15, and we can see that 3 times 15 makes 15. 3 times 5 makes 15. Write the 2 missing numbers below. So they should know that 5 times 4 equals 20. So that one is fairly straightforward. But this one is giving you the answer, but they're missing this number. So what do you multiply by 10 to get 70? They could also do 70 divided by 10, which would give them the answer. 7 times 10 equals 70. So 7 is the missing number. Thank you for watching the video, guys. It's been a bit of a longer one today as I walk through this reasoning paper. I hope that you found the video useful. At least you can see the different types of questions the children are likely to be asked in their SATs paper in May. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed the content. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.